is Linux actually worth using? I come saying this from having used Linux Mint, Arch Linux, Ubuntu, and that's kinda it. Personally, I do like Linux. I like the freedom, I like being able to use terminal to install apps, and I just like the aesthetics. I do not really like how Windows looks. It's very blocky, it's very basic, and there's not really a lot of customization. That's kind of my main issue with Windows and with Mac actually. It's so hard to like customize because like in Linux you can literally change how your windows look, like not windows but the things you drag around on your screen, and you can basically you can just change how they look by just changing a setting on your in your settings, and you can change to however you want. And if you don't have enough options by default, just install another package. You don't do that with Windows or with Mac. That's impossible. So that's one of the main features of Linux, being very customizable, and if it's not, it still is because it's open. Also, the most open is of course Arch Linux. It's an operating system that you install on your own. You can choose what things you install. You need to install Linux manually, you need to do a bunch of things manually. Some ordinary gamers, I think he explains it really well how to install it, and you get like a cool look on how your computer actually works. So it's like a really good learning experience. But if you didn't know already, I use Windows at the moment because Arch Linux, Mint, and Ubuntu simply did not work for the things that I want to do. I've heard that you can use Linux to mod games, but it simply didn't work for me. Also because of Nvidia. I have an Nvidia 4070, and that's just why Arch Linux did not work for me. The drivers somehow just corrupted for the second time, and that's when I stopped using Linux because it was just being so annoying, breaking every time, just like Mint, just like Ubuntu. With Mint and Ubuntu it was a whole other problem, but it still just broke. I feel like for Linux to actually become viable or to compete in all of the operating systems, I feel like compatibility and stability should be a whole lot better. And of course also user interface. It should just be a whole lot better. Because currently I know a lot of things about computers, I would say, but my dad could simply not use Linux. He would simply just be unable to, just like my mom, just like my grandma, just like any other person who are not interested in computers. I mean, they don't even know what a fucking terminal is, so it's just not simply for everybody. And then when you use the built-in store, like from Arch Linux or Ubuntu, it doesn't work. You get other packages than you get from installing it by a terminal. But why can't your store just use the terminal to install things? I don't see the issue here. But that's definitely what I would improve. And look, man, you just can't do usability and compatibility, because if companies don't want to be compatible, they just aren't. They will just go onto Windows and they'll just be fine. They'll make basically the same amount of sales. So like, you can't really change that, but also you kinda can. So like, it basically, Linux just needs to get better overall. It needs to get more users somehow by just being easier to use. Do I think that you should use it right now? No. It will simply crash too much, and compatibility is a huge issue, and you will just uh, focus more on your operating system than actually doing the things on your computer. That's definitely my experience. Your experience may be way different, but I just wanted to talk about this. Maybe you can use Linux for servers. It's really nice. I personally I've hosted a Minecraft server and I've hosted a website. It worked meh, better than Windows. So definitely use it for that, but I wouldn't say that using Linux is viable today.